Welcome to Scaryside. We bring you true, original, paranormal stories you won't find anywhere else. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. After hearing this story, you might want to hold on to your blanket a little tighter tonight. You wouldn't want something pulling it off of you in the middle of the night. Blanket Thief. My life was one strange occurrence after another. I became accustomed to encountering unexplained things and trying to find logical explanations for them. At the age of 17, I had a sweet, loving, cuddly dog that adored me. She never left my side and followed me everywhere. Every night, she slept on a pillow beside my bed. Ever vigilant and protective of her master, she guarded me through the darkness. My father was a militant man. When he said jump, you jumped immediately and without any hesitation. His home was his castle, and he did as he pleased, with one exception. No one, not one soul, not even my father, was allowed to cross the threshold into my bedroom if I was in the bed. If my feet hit the floor, all was fine, but if I was in the bed, she guarded me with the vigilance of a warrior. A few people, brothers, sisters, parents, and friends, all tested this theory and were met with a growling beast, until she was called off by my feet hitting the carpet. My protector had one fault. She loved to steal my blankets. On numerous occasions, I would be awakened by her dragging the blankets from my bed. I would simply reach down to the foot of the bed without sitting up, pull them back up over myself, and return to sleep. On some occasions, I would wake up in the morning with my blankets on the floor, and a cute face looking up at me from her comfortable nest. On one particular night, at about 5 a.m., I was awakened by the sound of my guardian growling with more robustness than she usually expressed to a would-be bedroom perpetrator. I called her off and made her return to my side, as there was no one at my door. Previously, this may have raised a concern. However, currently, this was not totally unusual behavior, as lately she had done this a few times during the day and a few times at night. I guess she was seeing a new reflection on a wall or something of that sort that burdened her. I thought, tomorrow, I should look into what had changed in the house that was unfoundedly alerting her. And then I snuggled in. Sleep. Sleep, I said to myself. I needed to return to sleep. But within minutes, my buddy was standing at the threshold of my bedroom door, staring off into the abyss, growling at nothing. The hair of her back stood on end. Her teeth shone white in the dim reflection of the moonlight in the room. Every muscle in her body was tense and prepared for attack at any second. In vain, I called her to me, yet her eyes never strayed from her target, not for a second. I had never seen her so angry or focused. It was then that I intentionally sat up, put my feet to the carpet, and called her off the would-be imagined invader. With my feet on the floor, I moved across the room, nudged her bottom and got her attention, and called her off. Reluctantly, she returned to my side and settled into her pillow with a moan of dissatisfaction, and we both prepared to return to our dreams. I dozed off for a short time, only to be disturbed by the familiar feeling of my blankets slowly and ever so carefully being pulled off of the bed. As I had so many times before, with my eyes still closed, I pulled them back over myself, and I tried to drift off to sleep. Normally, this was the end of the blanket tug of war. But not tonight. No, not tonight. Again, the blankets began to move. Carefully, slowly, methodically off of the bed. Once more, without opening my eyes, and with very little movement, I reached down below my feet, grabbed what remained on the bed, and pulled the blankets back. Again, I prepared for slumber and grumbled at my best friend, who would surely be disciplined for this in the morning. All snuggled in, I began to drift away. To my dismay, the blankets moved again. Very, very slowly and carefully. Almost imperceptible at first, and then intentionally. The blanket being completely removed. This time, I had had enough. I opened my eyes and sat up, prepared to do final battle with the blanket-stealing dog, who had seemingly lost her mind tonight. To my surprise, my vigilant guardian was not at my side. She was nowhere near my bed. She stood looking at me, eyes giant, from across the room. The blanket lay on the floor, where she normally would have been, uninhabited. At this point, I did what anyone would do. I grabbed my blankets, covered my head, and hid in my impenetrable fortress, protected from the darkness by the magical force field created by any blanket. I lay perfectly still, reliant on the dependability of my fortification. It was then that it happened. I felt it, a being, a force, something with great intention. A cold, tangible entity entered my body through my feet, came up through my body, and exited through my head. It took only a second or two from entry to exit, but it was real and as physical as the dog by my side. As it left my body, there was a recognizable thud in the wall above my head. A sound as though a baseball was thrown at the wall. And it was over. I sat there in shock. And I knew it. Right then, I knew it. I did not know how or why, but I knew it with certainty. My father's uncle had died. Not someone that I was particularly close to, someone that I had hardly known, but I was absolutely confident he had passed. About 15 minutes later, the phone rang, breaking the silence of a slumbering family, and woke the house. I heard my mother's voice discussing with and thanking an unknown agent for alerting her of the death of our great uncle. Years have passed since this occurrence. When I think back now to all of those times my blankets were found on the floor, to all of those times my blankets moved from my body, I wonder, did I ever have a blanket-stealing dog? Or was it always something else? But that is another story. If anyone has ever experienced something like this before, we would love to hear about it. Please comment or email us at scarysidetales@gmail.com. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this story.